Hey guys, how you doing? And welcome back to another reflection. So today I want to focus on the second reading because we hear quite angry St. James in his letter today. His anger is against injustice. He's speaking out against injustice, and so I guess you can say that the anger that he is carrying is actually, righteous anger. So I'll just quickly read it for you. So he says, "Behold the wages of the labourers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, cry out, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts. You have lived on the earth in luxury and in pleasure. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. You have condemned, you have killed the righteous man. He does not resist you." And so this picture, this injustice that Saint James is, has painted for us, we can sometimes see ourselves in this picture as the laborer who the injustice has been done towards. Sometimes we feel like the victim, of the injustice that those above us, those in authority, do against us. So today I want to speak about injustice because this is something that we all experience in our lives ourselves. It could be at work. Sometimes the boss at work mistreats us, or even at home, we get shouted at, or we get mistreated at home in a very unjust way. And even when we listen to the radio or watch the news, we hear about injustice in the world. Criminals are sometimes getting away with things that they have done wrong, or people have received pain which they didn't deserve. And so when we read all of this and hear about all of this, our first reaction, our first the first thought process in our mind is to fight back and say, this person gets what they deserve for what they have done. And so it's like an aggressive reaction that we respond with. And so I want to talk about this because firstly, this kind of reaction, it's normal because we get angry. It's part of our emotions. We get angry when we see something that has happened that shouldn't happen. And sometimes this anger, like St. James, can be righteous anger. But it is in these situations that we need to put on the mind of Christ and think in this situation, step back and think, in this injustice, as a representative of Christ, what would Christ want me to do in this situation? What would Jesus want me to do? And it is our job in every situation, regardless of the injustice that we face, to be the righteous people in that situation. With injustice, we fight it with righteousness. And to be righteous is to put on the mind of Christ, is to live, is to act with the heart of Christ and think, what would Jesus do in this situation? How do I respond like Christ? I say we have to put on the mind of Christ because out of all people in the world, Jesus was the one that was treated the most unjustly. The Son of God was treated like trash, by the Pharisees. And, when Pilate questions him, questions his arrest, Jesus responds by saying, this is not my kingdom. I'm the king of a kingdom above. There's a kingdom above, for me. And so Jesus is saying that he doesn't belong in this world, but he belongs in another kingdom. But before that, Jesus, he was silent. He was silent, and he knew that he was facing injustice, but he knew the outcome. He knew the better ending. He knew what was ahead. And so when we face injustice, like I said, we put on the mind of Christ and we think about what is ahead. We think about, the kingdom to come, and, every problem, every injustice that we face ends in this world, because it is the righteous that then enter the kingdom of heaven. So why respond to injustice? And at times when we respond aggressively, we are not being any better than the person that has given us injustice. And so in those situations, if we act with righteousness with our minds, pointing towards what's ahead, that is the best way, to go about it. And I want to assure you, my dear friends, that Jesus, he hears everything. He hears, every cry. He hears every and sees every, bit of injustice. And, I may have said this in a previous talk before, but, let justice be for God, and let us do and continue to do what is righteous. And sometimes, believe me, it is so hard to just, allow, things to go our way. And I'm not saying just do nothing in the midst of injustice, but do what is righteous. And sometimes being righteous is a call to respond, to act, but don't act with anger, don't act with revenge, but act with compassion towards a person who has done injustice to you. Because alternatively, the main goal that should be when you respond to someone who has done injustice to you is not to just make them feel hurt, but convert them, transform them. It is when you try and transform that person, and if that person gets transformed, then you have won, you have beaten the injustice there. And that's the most important thing. It is better that you, through your righteousness, transform the person who's done injustice to you, rather than responding to that person and giving back injustice to them. So my dear friends, I want to just end this by saying, put on the mind of Christ and live with the heart of Christ. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. I hope you have a great week ahead. God bless.